Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome. This is the global community for adult survivors of complex trauma. Anyone who's lived through adverse childhood experiences and is experiencing CPTSD symptoms. If you're not sure if you're experiencing CPTSD symptoms, you can simply type in the word CPTSD and highlight it and right click, and it should take you to Wikipedia and it will show you what the symptoms are for complex trauma or complex PTSD. You can Google any of these terms and you'll get a list. Hey Gadir, hey John Harvey. So I think I'm a couple minutes early today. What I would like to do hey Kate Punch. Or I'm sorry, not Punch, my bad. Kate Pugh? Pooh? Puck. I'm sorry, I'm saying your name wrong. I know I'm saying your name wrong. I can feel it. Hi, Willow. So I'm a few minutes early. Hey, Nexus. I'm gonna go grab some water. And hi, Tabby Ba. Hi, Keisha. Keisha V. Oh, Kate Putch, just like such. Awesome. Hi, Pixie Painter. Hey, Melissa. Hi, Poppy. You rock. Hi, Angela. Poppy's gonna post some crisis information right now for anyone who happens to be in crisis. You guys know I'm a huge suicide prevention advocate. Hello, Skylight at Dusk. So if anyone would like to join me in my suicide prevention efforts on social media, what I would love for you to do is highlight some of the information, the numbers, the crisis text line, the suicide prevention, our friends over at RAIN, the Samaritans over at samaritans.org, or Joe at samaritans.org. If you would like to copy what Poppy puts in the chat box and then paste it on social, anywhere, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, over on Ace's Connection, over anywhere on Tumblr, LinkedIn, any social network whatsoever, then you would be contributing to this discussion, and you might even save a life. And all it would have taken you was a couple seconds of just copy and paste. So if that's something you're okay with, then awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and grab some water, and then I will come back and I will be here with you and just having this discussion about being triggered into an emotional flashback by something so simple as like if the weather changes, right? Why do we get triggered into an emotional flashback more often certain times of year? Like in the winter, for instance, or summer, or spring, or fall. Are you in tune with what's going on in your body? Have you noticed that maybe you get sort of flung into an emotional flashback more often if the weather is a certain way? I would love to hear what you have to contribute to this discussion, because this is a thing. This is something that I deal with a lot of my clients. There are certain weather patterns that are way more triggering for my clients than others. And I have practitioners who, well, I have clients who are practitioners, but what I mean is I have practitioners reach out to me and tell me that they're having their clients and their patients reach out and ask them if the emotional flashbacks they're being flung into as a result of the weather is something common with CPTSD. So I want to hear what you guys have to say, because I've done my own research. I've sort of done my own fact finding, like I've been on my own fact finding mission. And then of course I can just share with you from a lived experience perspective also, because I'm a survivor. So I would love to have this discussion with you. I'm so excited to be here with you. Hello, Jeffrey Sherman, and hello to everyone else who's here who I may not have greeted by name. Kate Putch says, our body remembers more detail than we can ever imagine. Absolutely. Absolutely, our body remembers. There's a book called Body Memories, I believe. And then there's also, of course, the famous book by Bessel van der Kolk, Body Keeps the Score. And then if you've ever read Judith Herman's work, Trauma and Recovery, then you'll know most definitely that the weather and different things and the way our body responds to different things, like there's no coincidence in that. So we have these types of discussions every single day, 365 days a year over at cptsdfoundation.org. So if you like these videos and you would like to have like similar discussions, which are audio with a screen share usually, then go over to cptsdfoundation.org and click around and just inquire, because I love having discussions like these, and we have discussions similar to these 365 days a year. Yes, even when it's Christmas. Yes, even when it's Boxing Day. Yes, even when it's Thanksgiving. And if you're somewhere else in the world, you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but yes, even on Easter, even on New Year's, even on, especially on Mother's Day, Father's Day, all the triggering holidays. But yeah, so I'm gonna go grab some water. Thanks for being here and for welcoming each and every person who comes and shows up here. Everyone deserves to be treated with kindness and compassion and mutual respect. Hey, Anne, did you get my voice message over on Messenger, Anne? Let me know, Ann Austin, if you got my message over on Messenger. I left you a voice message. I responded. I tried responding to the speak pipe, but it said it was undeliverable. I don't know what the deal was, but it wouldn't let me respond on speak pipe. So, hi, Coda Shoshona. Hey, Shannon. Oh, well, go over on Messenger. Ann, go over on Messenger. I left a voice message on Messenger for you. Oh, Jeffrey, gosh, it's moving so fast today. Jeffrey Sherman says, I think the mind goes back to significant emotions and thoughts when we encounter the same stimuli. A bad trauma is definitely significant. This is just from my experience. Well, yes, there is, like, very accurately and expertly articulated, Jeffrey Sherman. And yes, absolutely. Trauma is trauma is trauma. And all trauma is cumulative. And our mind does go back, and our body does go back to significant feelings and thoughts and emotions when we encounter the same stimuli. Most definitely. Okay, I'm really going to walk over and get some water now because I'm really, really, really thirsty. Hey, Keisha. So happy to be here with all you. I'll be back, okay? Enjoy the view while I walk away and get some water. Okay, I'm back. Yes, hello, Wally. I agree with Jeffrey Sherman. I'm glad you could make it, Coda Shoshona. Malta McMurchie. Good to see you, Malta. So happy to see you. How's it going, Malta? Tabby Boss says, usually I have therapy on Tuesdays, so this really helps on the evening before that. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah. Family for the win, for sure. Hi, Francesca. So good to see you. You're welcome, Malta. I'm doing good, thank you. I'm doing good. Hey, Lance. Lance says, yo, yo, everyone. Not so funny here as well. Or not so, no, wait. Not so sunny. Not so sunny here as well in Southern California. Yeah, let us know how you're doing, Malta, for sure. I agree with Shannon. So it's that question, right? Oh, Sharon says, Svava says hi to me and to Matt from Texas. Hello, Svava. I wish I could be there. Willow, thank you. Willow says, hey, I found the CPTSD Foundation Facebook page and it's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. You can thank Miss Poppy for that. Miss Poppy's thebomb.com. And we have other people like Miss Rhonda and Mark and his team who are helping us with our Facebook page, for sure. John Harvey says, can our avoidance side block out what triggers us? And it seems our moods jump around for no reason, question mark. Yes, so absolutely, John Harvey. What you're describing is intermittent dissociation or intermittent dissociative episodes. So, for instance, if we are numbing, stuffing, or avoiding in any capacity. So this is answering John Harvey's question, but I'm not pointing at John Harvey when I say this. I'm always pointing at myself. So let's say I am numbing, stuffing, or avoiding in any capacity, right? In excess. That would mean that when my feelings come up, whether they be good feelings or painful feelings or whatever feelings happen to come up, let's say I numb them out, I stuff them down, or I avoid them altogether, right? I'm not feeling those feelings. Then my mood is going to be all over the place. My mood will be everywhere, all over the place. So let's say I'm numbing through drugs and alcohol. Let's say I am stuffing my feelings down. Basically, we know what stuffing is. Like when I say stuffing, I mean we say to ourselves in some version of this particular sentence, and that is, ain't nobody got time for this. or a feeling comes up and we stuff it back down because we don't want to upset the apple cart. We don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. We don't want to say anything because we are seeking the approval of someone else. We don't want to upset anyone. We're managing other people's emotions. We're managing a room filled with people. We don't want to upset anyone. We want to keep the peace. And if we're doing so to our own detriment, that's stuffing. I'm not talking doing the right thing at the right time with the right motives and saying the right thing at the right time with the right motives. That's not what I'm talking about, stuffing. That's called being human and being healthy. When I'm saying stuffing, I mean it occurs to us to say something because it's the right thing to say and we're feeling something, but we don't because we are seeking someone else's approval or we're afraid of someone else's response, right? That's stuffing. So that's numbing and stuffing, right? Numbing is through anything, drugs, alcohol, thrill seeking, illicit sex, gambling, any type of addiction to like an app or social media. Hey, thanks to the Blue Wrench crew. Thanks to all of the mod squad for getting rid of whatever's going on. Yeah, caretaking. Ann Austin nailed it. If we're caretaking a situation, remember there's a common thread of narcissistic abuse. If you're involved with someone who is toxic in any way, there's always caretaking going on. You are either caretaking them or they are infantilizing and caretaking you or making you believe that they're caretaking you. Feel free to block and delete someone if they need to. Thanks for the timeout though. So I couldn't see anything, but I'm assuming it was inappropriate. I trust you guys. So yeah, if we're numbing through any means of numbing, busyness, you know, whatever, if we're stuffing, yeah, Jeffrey Sherman says stuffing emotions, like caretaking is a really good way to put it, Ann Austin. And then Jeffrey Sherman says stuffing emotions means always putting others' reactions or fear of those reactions above our safety and our sanity. That is no bueno. Exactly. So that's stuffing. And then avoiding is basically, we don't even avoid on purpose sometimes. Like it could just be what we're programmed to do, right? Perhaps we learned at a very young age that saying certain things or acting a certain way which felt congruent or in alignment with who we were, or who we are, didn't warrant the type of response that we wanted. Like maybe we got punished for being ourselves. Maybe we got punished for speaking up. So then we go into this blissful state of denial where we deny anything's actually going on, and it's just easier to look the other way. It's just easier to pretend someone didn't say something. You know? Kind of like, this is what avoidance would be, okay? It's like fearing conflict, avoiding conflict, right? So this is a good example of avoidance. Yes, it is really, really, really hard to not numb stuff and avoid. It is super duper duper hard. Hi, Nicole. Yeah. So this is a good example of avoidance, right? Let's say I'm in high school. Picture that. I had like the most awesome 80s hair, of course. You know, the big like Aquanet hairspray, as tall as possible. Don't forget the sun in, so my hair was orange. And I'm wearing weird clothes, of course, because I never had, you know, I was not cared for properly and I didn't understand like social cues, and I was completely socially inept until I was at least like in my 30s. So I'm walking across the quad and this one girl decides that she and her friends are going to walk by me and they're going to bump into me on purpose. Wally says, I'm still socially inept. I am on most days also, Wally. Mondays I get a hall pass and I just get to show up here and be all real with you guys. So, but no, I am still socially inept in certain situations. I'm being self-deprecating, but yeah. So I'm walking across the quad with my 80s hair, and this group of girls decide that they're gonna bump into me on purpose and knock my books out of my hand. So a human response to that situation would be like, what's your problem? Why did you do that? But instead, I picked up my books and I kept on walking because it was easier to not say something. It was easier to not feel humiliated. It was easier than feeling the painful emotions I was feeling. I was feeling embarrassed. I was feeling humiliated. I was feeling unwanted, unloved, other than, picked on, bullied, you know? But I pretended that they didn't do it. I just simply acted as though, right? I just acted as though. So that's avoiding. So that's the definition of numbing, stuffing, and avoiding. And sometimes it's just easier to pretend that something isn't really going on because it's too painful to actually think about. And that's never good for our complex trauma recovery. You know, it's really, really, really difficult to stand up for ourselves. Really, really, really difficult. So Patrice says, in situations like that, my go-to went quickly from fawn to fight. I would dissociate and fight and come to having beat someone up terribly. Oh my goodness, I'm a fawner. Like, I'm like a freeze fawn for sure. I don't know if I've ever been to, like, only time I've ever gotten into like fight mode is like when I'm really stuck in like a younger part and I'm like going through really deep trauma therapy, you know? But that's interesting, and that's very intuitive that you are able to recognize that in you, Patrice. And the fact that you can access your anger, my goodness, that propels you in your healing journey. When we can finally access our anger, you guys, oh my gosh. So many complex trauma survivors are unable to access their anger because they just are, they would rather avoid it. It's just too much. It's too much pain because you're afraid of being invalidated. Tabby Boss says, by high school, I didn't take any crap from the kids. They were amateurs compared to the parents. Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Ooh, Shannon says, Francesca, I find meditation triggering too. I wondered for years why. Absolutely. Absolutely. Meditation meditation is triggering because if you look at the abuse and control wheel, if you look at the abuse and control wheel, or the way that abuse plays out, right before the abuse actually happens is a period of calm and quiet. So when we are triggered by calm and peace and quiet, it is usually because we have a history of abuse and it was a cycle of abuse. It was an ongoing abuse situation. We were told through words, actions, or otherwise on many different occasions that it's the calm before the storm. It gets calm and peaceful right before really, really, really bad stuff happens. We can't remain calm and peaceful for too long because something bad is going to rob that. They're going to rob us of it. Poppy says, believe it or not, I got into a lot of physical altercations in high school. No way. Poppy? My goodness, I never would have thought that. I wish I would have had you around to protect me from all those bullies. those same group of girls came up to me in the lunchroom one time and knocked this cup out of my hand, and it had like, do you guys have high C? It's like juice, like fruit flavored sugar water or whatever. Mine was red. Or no, it was called suicide. A suicide was when you mixed the red with the purple, with the green, with the clear, with the white, with the brown, and it made this weird color. But anyway, Francesca says, so that is great awareness. The silence is frightening and there is anticipation of something terrible happening. That sucks. Exactly. Heck yes. Tabby Boss says, I was quite the wild teen, left home by myself while Dad trucked. Oh boy. Oh my goodness, Tabby Boss. I wish I would have known all you guys when I was younger. I would have had my posse. I would have had my crew. I would have been protected. It would have been awesome. I was so socially awkward. I was painfully socially awkward. Oh my gosh. So painful to even think about right now. Pixie Painter says, my triggers are loud noises, dogs barking. Loud noises. Dogs barking are a massive trigger. Ooh, have you worked with a trauma-informed therapist, Pixie Painter, to find out why that is? Or you probably already know why that is. Have you been able to do any EMDR around dog barking? Or work through maybe like some somatic experiencing or just anything trauma, like some sort of, maybe expressive modality, Pixie Painter? You're a painter. I know that you love expressive modalities just by what you've shared here on our broadcast. But EMDR is really good for Pixie Painter. EMDR is really good with sound triggers and recognizable triggers, like not necessarily emotional flashbacks, but flashbacks that are cued by something that we recognize. And it's not unpredictable. We actually know what it is. Like, that yours is dogs barking. And so EMDR, you would actually create new neural pathways. So whereas like right now, let's say it's like A versus B, Pixie Painter. So A is you hear a dog bark and it's very triggering for you. And you are flung into your usual trauma response, which is either like a freeze flee, a freeze fawn, a freeze fight, or you just stay stuck in freeze. Or, it could last for quite some time. Maybe you have like really horrible nightmares, maybe whatever your triggers might be. So EMDR, like that's A. EMDR actually rewires your brain through bilateral stimulation to where you actually choose a different path. So like, let's say you and I, Pixie Painter, are walking down a path together. And when you hear a dog bark, you run down this one path every single time. We're walking along this path together. You hear the dog bark and you turn left and you run. You run left every single time. Hey, Brenda, so happy to see you. And so if you and I were to walk, Pixie Painter, and you were to hear a dog bark after you went to EMDR and did EMDR, a series of EMDR sessions with your trauma-informed therapist who is certified or licensed through EMDRIA and what have you, then when you and I are walking along and you hear a dog bark, after your series of EMDR sessions, your brain is literally rewired to choose a different path. You hear the dog bark when we're walking down the path, and instead of turning left and running left, you literally turn right instead. You create new neural pathways through bilateral stimulation. It's actually quite miraculous. So I don't know if that sounds like something that would be helpful for you, but it's really, really awesome. So this whole weather conversation, right, you guys? So I've had people come to me talking with me about how they think that they have seasonal affective disorder. And hi, Joey. Hi, Aurora. I'm so happy to see both of you. So I'm going to look away for just a second and tell this story so that I don't forget, and then I will come back. So I get these messages. I have practitioners reach out to me. I have just mental health consumers reach out to me, and they share that they believe that their clients they actually thought that their patients or their clients were suffering from seasonal affective disorder. And what they've come to realize is that they have actually been experiencing an emotional flashback as a result of living with the effects of complex PTSD, developmental trauma, complex trauma. In this case, this one particular person that I'm referring to was actually healing from attachment disorder or abuse and neglect brought on in infancy, in early developmental stages, 0 to 18 months, 0 to 24 months. And what it was is that this particular patient or client, this is the working theory, this is the working hypothesis. Her abuse, which was brought on at a very, very young age and was reinforced year after year after year after year, was at a certain time of year. It was most common or most prevalent during a certain time of year when the weather was a certain way every single time. So I would have thought that that was an isolated incident if I hadn't received emails from other people saying the same thing. So my working theory or working hypothesis, not a doctor, not a therapist. Hey, Bruce City Bear. So happy to have you here. I'm so glad you could join us. Hello to anyone else I haven't greeted by name. Brenda says, Tabby Boss, stay with DBT for DID. Oh, I agree 100%. If you're living with diagnosed DID, EMDR can actually be something which is very triggering and detrimental to you. And I'm not saying that if you have any type of dissociation whatsoever that EMDR is bad, because I have dissociation. But the difference between DID and the type of dissociation that I live with, which are predictable bouts of dissociation or predictable dissociative episodes, if you are living with DID and your dissociative episodes or your different bouts of dissociation are unpredictable and you're not even sure what brings them on or how long they last or what exactly is going on or where you go, then EMDR is not going to be something which is helpful for you. But DBT for sure, absolutely. Yeah. Brenda says we all have dissociation, like when we drive a car and we don't remember the off-ramp. We don't remember every moment behind the wheel, exactly. But like I have predictable bouts of dissociation, for instance, where we've talked about this before. So a lot of my trauma happened in the bathroom or particularly like in the shower, and like a lot of just really traumatic moments. And so now to this day, when I shower, I play music so that I can sing along with the songs, and I make a little mark on the shower door after each song so that I know how many songs have played. But the key is to sing along with the songs so that I'm never in the shower for longer than like 4 or 5 songs. Because when I dissociate in the shower as a result of my trauma, which doesn't make me broken or lame or ridiculous or unfixable or like something's wrong with me. But you know, it's just a thing. Like it's just a result of my trauma. So I'm working through it and I found a workaround, and you know, that's why healing is so exhausting, because we literally have workarounds for everything, right? When we are living with CPTSD symptoms, we find workarounds for everything. Here we are, we're living life and we're doing all the things, and we're trying to do all the adult things. We're trying to go to the bank and schedule eye appointments and dentist appointments, and did we do our annual checkup, and don't forget to make the deposit, and did we pay the bill? Did you pay the electric bill? Did we buy the groceries? Oh no, it's time to get my oil changed. Did you put gas in the car? You know, it's like, you know, it's so hard. It's so hard, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, by the way, I need to heal complex trauma. and I need to like do all these workarounds so that I don't get triggered by certain things. Cause you know, thank you CPTSD. Deliberately loving says, how long would you be in the shower for when dissociating? Hi, by the way. Hello to you. Um, yeah, until the water ran cold, like Tabby Boss said. Yeah, no, so the first couple times it was probably like up to like 45 minutes. Yeah, probably for up to like 45 minutes, but that, I mean, that was probably in the thick of my healing journey. Hey Andrew, so happy to see you. Hello. Hello to anybody I haven't greeted by name. So happy to see each of you. So yeah, unless your bouts of dissociation that you're living with on a regular basis are actually predictable and you sort of like identify with them or whatever, then if you're living with DID, a diagnosis of DID, I would definitely, like Brenda says, stick with DBT, stick with dialectical behavior therapy, or there's even trauma-informed cognitive behavioral therapy, or maybe it's trauma-sensitive, no, trauma-informed, trauma-focused. Trauma-focused CBT or trauma-informed CBT. I can't remember which one it is, but you know, if we can get those negative cognitions that we do have when we're not dissociated, and we can reframe those and we can learn healthy skills with DBT, then our lives are going to be much more enjoyable, you know? So, but I do believe that DID is 100% brought on by trauma. Just so you all know where I reside on that side of the line drawn in the sand in the community. I do not believe that DID is people. I actually recorded a video when I was traveling last year in October, and I was ranting for about an hour and a half. Ooh, yeah, okay, so it's trauma-focused CBT. Brenda says, thank you, Brenda. She says, it's okay for trauma, I would do some kind of expressive therapy. So important. For sure. Oh my gosh, I agree, Brenda. I took this, I think it's like a 12-hour, maybe it was 10-hour, I can't remember. Some CEU for expressive modalities and art therapy and dance therapy and movement therapy and all these different things. It was offered for clinicians, and I'm not a clinician, but I took the CEUs anyway, and I've been able to really just help my clients and just be more trauma informed, and it's been very, very, very helpful. So I always appreciate your wisdom, Brenda. You're awesome. Hey, Pants. Happy to see you, Pants. Ooh, Ann Austin says, my therapist gave me a book, Coping with Trauma-Related Dissociation by Suzette Boone, Kathy Steele, and Ono Vanderhart. That's awesome, Anne. Oh yeah, so I recorded this ranting video for like an hour and a half when I was traveling last October about how the community, the mental health community, and even the medical community is split down the middle. On like half of them believe that either dissociation doesn't even exist or it is just people pretending to dissociate. Hi, Angela. I'm so happy to see you. And then the other half of the community understands and believes that that it's brought on by trauma, typically childhood trauma. So yeah, that I was told by several people. Hey, Guayanes. So good to see you, Guayanes. Hello to anybody else I haven't greeted by name. I think my phone's gonna die. If the video dies like abruptly and all of a sudden, it's not because I don't wanna be here with you, but for some reason my battery is acting crazy. Hi, Jennifer. I know, right, Jennifer? Jennifer's like, why would we pretend to dissociate? It sucks, exactly. So half the community out there really does believe, these are medical professionals, people whom have like been published in medical journals, and who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and they actually believe that dissociation doesn't exist. I mean, I understand that there are you know, there are some arguments which point to certain behaviors being rewarded by certain therapists. And so the certain helping professionals believe that like they reward it's thought of that the therapists are rewarding the behavior of those that are dissociating, and so they dissociate more in order to get attention. And basically they all believe that DID doesn't exist and that everybody's either BPD or nothing. I'm speaking in hyperbole, but it was very, very, very frustrating for me to believe that these colleagues were believing this just ridiculous rhetoric. So anyway, there's a ranting video, but I've been told by many people that it was triggering for them because I was all mama bear and nothing else. Hello, Secret Ninja 88. It's so good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Hello to Serena Lace. Athena, thank you for addressing the issue of certain destructive professionals. It can be hard to self-validate against professionals. Absolutely, it's hard. It's totally hard. It's all we're looking for is to be validated and you know, and told that we're not, you know, unlovable. We just want to know that we're enough, just as we are. So it's just, yeah, it's a really, really difficult thing. Skylight at Dusk says, I sometimes feel like people choose their professions for the prestige and the money, not much else, because they lack the required empathy or at least sympathy. Yeah, I don't know why they choose their professions when they're lacking empathy or sympathy. They do make things much worse. I agree, Pants. I agree, Skylight at Dusk. But there's not a whole lot of like money and fame in being a helping professional. It's kind of like being a teacher. You know, you're very underpaid, actually. You spend all this money on going to college and being in grad school, and you're underpaid. It takes a long time to get out of that debt. Unless you are, you know, somewhere, you know, like New York, and you're a psychoanalytical therapist, or you have a specialty where, you know, people charge, you know, $400, $500, $600, $700. You know, and that happens in some parts of you know, the West Coast as well. Brenda says, so true, Athena, lots of disrespect and low pay. Exactly, and that's someone who's a practitioner, you guys. Trauma-informed practitioner right here in the chat box, Brenda Gregory Ewan. If anyone is wondering and you are on the East Coast, hello, click on her profile. And if you're not taking new clients, Brenda, please forgive the shout out. Smiley face. Secret Ninja 88 says, does anyone have suggestions on reading material or videos of where or how I can share with my spouse to help him understand childhood trauma, PTSD, and triggers? Ooh, yes, yes, yes. Secret Ninja 88, do me a favor. Email, go Google the name Heather Tuba. Tuba like the musical instrument, Heather, like Heather. Heather Tuba, and tell her Athena says hi. Tell her you found Athena on YouTube, and she says hi, and she will give you, yep, Heather Tuba, exactly. Tell her Athena says hi, and she has programs for partners, and I am actually working together in like conjunction with her. Nicole, is this healthysex.com? Is that something inappropriate that's going to be triggering for our audience? Can someone check out that link and then delete the comment if it's something that's going to be triggering for our audience? Poppy, it's from Nicole B at 3:39 or 39 minutes past the hour, and it says healthysex.com. Books, DVD, poster. I don't know if that should be there. We might want to delete that, please. Yes, Heather Tuba, awesome. So I'm working in conjunction with her, and she works a lot with spouses. And yeah, delete the video. Delete that link, please, if it's triggering. Tabby Boss says it's triggering. Yeah, so Heather Tuba, so I'm working in conjunction with her, trying to put something out through the foundation that is for survivors who have spouses who don't understand, so that Heather can provide the support for the spouses, and then I can provide the help for the survivors. And then vice versa. Like sometimes both spouses are survivors. Oh, I know you didn't mean any harm, Nicole. I just want to make sure. I just want to police it and make sure that it is, you know, not like triggering for anybody. So, no one said $160 an hour is underpaid, Francesca. But there are a lot of people out there making, you know, way less than that. My therapist happens to make less than $100 an hour. So, and they've gone to, you know, gone to college, grad school. They're in debt for 30 years, 20 years, still paying off college loans, and they're in their, you know, so, so yeah. And underpaid is relative. It depends on your cost of living. It depends on where you live, your geographic location. And, you know, there's a lot of disrespect that goes on in the helping professional community. And it's a lot of stress. And, you know, not all helping professionals are trauma informed, although they need to be. At this point, they need to be. Because trauma is everywhere. And complex trauma is way more prevalent now than it ever was. And we need to be providing trauma-informed support to so many people out there who are hurting. And there's no excuse to not be trauma-informed. Like, seriously, if you really want to be of service and you really want to help others, we need to be mindful that what's going on now usually is connected to something that happened a long time ago. Brenda says insurance providers pay very, very low rates for mental health providers. Exactly. They absolutely do. It's atrocious. Jeffrey Sherman says if they aren't helping traumatized people, who are they helping? Sometimes people go to therapy because it's a way of life for them, and you know, they need someone to talk to. It's their means of self-care, and they're not going to therapy to talk about anything that was traumatizing. They're going to therapy to work out something going on with their job, or they're confused about their marriage, or you know, they don't know how to deal with their teenager. And to be quite honest, they don't even know they're traumatized half the time. You know? Anne says trauma and how trauma affects the brain cannot be ignored anymore. I agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Oh, is John Harvey still here? Can someone tag John Harvey and see if he's still here? I think he's still here, but I can't tell. I can only see so much. Hey, okay. So John Harvey, I never finished your question earlier. So you were talking about numbing, stuffing, and avoiding. Or no, you weren't talking about numbing, stuffing, and avoiding. You were talking about our dissociating, or something along the lines of dissociating or avoiding, and if that can cause your mood to go up and down. And then I was giving an example of what is numbing, what is stuffing, and what is avoiding, and will that affect our moods? And what I was trying to get around to saying, John Harvey, is many of you will identify with this. Many of you will identify with this. Have you ever been in a friendship or any type of relationship with someone who really likes to numb out by drinking excessively, like drinking alcohol in excess, or smoking marijuana in excess, or doing any type of recreational drugs in excess? So those people who tend to utilize recreational drugs on a regular basis in excess, and it's not something that they've only done once or twice or a handful of times, it's their way of life. So those people, let's say I tend as a way of life. Wally says, yes, I know someone who loves to have casual sex and 420 at the same time for years. Okay, so this is who I'm talking about, Wally. So those people, or let's say that's me, right? If we're just gonna, keep it here. That's not what I do, but like if I did, then you would never be able to predict what kind of mood I was going to be in. Why? Because when you have a lifestyle of seeking to score illicit sex and or drugs, then you are in a constant cycle of getting ready to partake in or coming down from partaking in, whether it's illicit sex or drugs or both. So the moods will go up and the moods will go down. And they will be very, very, very unpredictable. John Harvey says, I don't drink, smoke, have sex, or do drugs. So, John Harvey, and I'm not saying you do, of course. I would never, accuse you of anything like that. So, you're saying that you're easily triggered and your moods go up and down and it seems to be random, like there's no predictor or no indicator for why it's going down. Is that correct? And no, I didn't see the question. Guayanas, I'm so sorry. Someone needs to give me the question. I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure you didn't think I was like accusing you. That's all. But I guess what I would look into, John Harvey, if that was me, I would have to look at my surroundings. When that happens with me, it typically means that I am still in contact with, either virtually or physically, someone who is toxic, seeking to control me, or I am seeking their approval. So John Harvey, if my moods were shifting and I couldn't figure out why, I would need to police my connections in my phone or in my home or on my computer, and I would need to make sure. Guayanas wants to know how do I find a trauma-informed pairs? So you can go look online. There's actually a place where you can type in your zip code. I believe it's on, is it on Good Therapy or is it Psychology Today? Oh gosh, I can't remember. Is Brenda still here, you guys? Maybe Brenda would be able to put a link in the chat box. So this is the thing, John Harvey. If it was me, I would need to police my phone, my home, and my computer. And I would need to look very, very, very carefully, and I would need to ask myself, how many people am I in contact with who are either trying to control me or I am seeking their approval? Because remember the whole thing that we've been talking about for years now is never ever allow someone else's approval or control to become more important than your own sanity. So that would just be my hypothesis, John Harvey. That would be my very best guess. I wish I could type it in. John Harvey, sit with your phone. Think about your house. and look in your computer. And be really honest with yourself. Thank you so much, Poppy. You'rethebomb.com. Love you. So yeah, John Harvey, get real with yourself. Get really, really, really honest with yourself. And figure out who in your phone, in your home, or on your computer is either A, trying to control you, or you are seeking their approval. John Harvey. John Harvey says, no one is trying to control me, but I do want people to like me, and at times it seems that no one in my life does. I'm not sure if I've told you this lately, John Harvey, but I like you. And you always have my approval. Like always. Oh, thank you, Malta. It's so good to have you here. I've missed you. I think maybe I just missed you for a week, maybe because I wasn't here. I'm not saying you weren't here. There's so many people that love you, John Harvey, and we like you as a human. Yeah, I like you, John Harvey. Joey says, can you dissociate while sleeping? My trauma therapist is wondering if I'm dissociating rather, whoops, it's going so fast, rather than sleeping because some days I am so exhausted. Ooh, you know what? I'm not sure, Joey. I would have to look into that. Hi, Patty. Hi, Victoria. Hi, Samantha. Thanks for being like the most awesome welcome wagon ever, Shannon O'Brien. You're amazing. Yeah, Joey, I'm going to have to give you a big fat I do not know because I have no clue. Aww. Wally says, I feel we can dissociate when sleeping as well. Hello, Kelly Jelly. Big hugs to you too. So happy to see you. Tabby Boss says, I'm not sure either. Maybe it's possible. I'm not sure. Coda Shoshona says, also, I find that my self-talk can be almost unconscious and it can affect my mood without me understanding what's going on. Oh my gosh. John Harvey, do you see the comment at 53 past from Coda Shoshona? Is it self-talk related? Because mine's the same way, Coda Shoshona. Oh my gosh, my self-talk can totally affect my mood. Yes, 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 yes. Joey says, that's okay. You're only human. I wish I knew, Joey. I just don't know. Angela says, the thing that helps me come back when I dissociate is cold water. I take cold showers and it helps. Did you know, Angela, that if we were to put our hands in the middle of an emotional flashback, if we were to put our hands in ice water, I believe, now I would need to look at my notes, but I believe it disengages our hypothalamus. I'm almost positive that's what it is. Anyway, it helps us ground if we're feeling like we're dissociating. Ann Austin says, isn't sleeping dissociating in itself? No, it's an actually, Ann, sleeping is actually self-care. There's so much that happens when your body sleeps. It actually feeds your soul. So, we need restful sleep. We need to go into certain stages of sleep. That's why there's so many studies done on sleep. There are apps that can help you study like the quality of your sleep because there's so much that happens in the healing process while we're sleeping. So oh my gosh, Angela, I had no idea. That is so cool. I'm so glad, Angela. Nicole B says, my brain processes a lot in my sleep. I know sometimes mine does too, Pants says, I used to have sleep paralysis a lot, less these days. Ooh, what's sleep paralysis? Ooh, Shannon has also brought herself back from dissociation by putting ice in her hands. I believe it disengages our hypothalamus. I would have to look at my notes from the seminar, but yeah, it's actually a neurobiological truth that cold water on your hands will help ground you. John Harvey says, thanks everyone for your comments. And it was, I was meaning people outside of our group. I am not good at making friends in the real world. This is the real world, John Harvey. But I don't want to be minimizing. I understand what you're saying. Aurora says, I most often dissociate when I'm driving to a custody exchange with my ex-husband. I left nearly 12 years ago, but he is so abusive. I have a no contact order for him to not hate harass me. Oh my goodness, that would cause me to dissociate too. Your body's preparing for trauma. My goodness. Anthony David McCallion says, can't sleep at the moment. Oh, I'm so sorry that you can't sleep. I hope that you can rest soon. Hi, Samantha. Samantha wants tips on avoiding bad dreams. I've had a few leave me in shock lately. The thing that has, in fact, the only thing that's been able to help me, Samantha, is the, I believe it's like gratitudes, like 3 things you're grateful for that you write down before you go to sleep. 3 things you're grateful for and in your day, and 3 things that you hope to be grateful for the next day or something like that. Brenda Gregory Ewan says positive psychology. Pants says, I mostly have nightmares too. Poppy says, I avoid sleep altogether. When I have sleep paralysis frequently, it is not a good idea. I end up loopy. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Yeah, the 3 gratitudes, writing down 3 things you're grateful for before you go to sleep. And you know what has been helping me lately is it's during the day, I read mental health books and medical books and like different things on neuroscience and neuroplasticity and anything that's like business related during the day. Hi, Kira. So happy to see you. But then at nighttime, I don't allow myself to read those kind of things at all. I only allow myself to read fiction at nighttime so that my brain can go somewhere else, like usually something very happy, you know? I think that's why, you know, we read bedtime stories to our children and our grandchildren so that they'll have sweet dreams.